Hey boys and girls, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I want to talk to you guys today about compliments, but I'm not going to go into my normal full breakdown of compliments because there's a later video that I'm going to drop called The Art of the Compliment. And I've already started a Discord channel about this where myself and over 70 members currently are sharing various experiences about how we received compliments. And I'm kind of using that as the basis for how I shape this very thorough breakdown of a subject that, quite honestly, most of FragCom appears to not understand. There's a lot of misconceptions about how to get compliments with your fragrances, and people normally fall into two camps. Number one, you'll get this guy. Hey, wear this fragrance and you're going to get a ton of compliments. I wear this fragrance and the compliments don't stop. Or you have folks that sit on the side of what I call fragrance purism. And that's where they are so about other things other than the compliment. And they believe the compliment is so not unattainable, but so uncontrollable. You know, you can't dictate how to get them, and it varies, and one size doesn't fit all kind of approach. And so they just kind of sit on the side of purity, where it's like, don't even chase the compliment. That's not what you should do it for. You should do it for yourself, or because this is something we can't control at all, just leave it out of your vocabulary. If a compliment comes, cool. If not, keep it pushing. And there are decent sentiments from both sides of that conversation, but I want to tell you guys that though there is truth on both sides of the conversation, there is a very practical way to approach thinking through the compliment and the art of how to receive compliments. Because trust and believe, it does go beyond the fragrance. And I'm going to showcase a little bit of that right now, though we're not going to go into the art of the compliment just yet. So I want you guys to think about certain things real quick. So there's a lot that goes into positioning yourself to receive compliments with fragrances. Number one, approachability. Are you approachable? And this is not just visual. Most people will stop at the extent of telling you, have good hygiene, wash your face, take a shower, groom your nails, trim your beard, have a haircut, wear nice clothes, don't be dingy. And all of that is true. But there is something so much more important that assists that approach. If you look nice, you could get approached. But there's a side to this conversation nobody talks about, which is a society issue that we all know about, but fail to recognize and connect the dots as it relates to perfumery. And that is, well, let me start with a story or an example. You know how when, if you're north of 30 years old, you know that growing up, we used to be able to go outside. So much so that when I was a kid, as long as I came home when the lights came on at night, the street lights, I could be outside anywhere I wanted. I would take the bus to the mall, be miles away from home with a beeper. This is before the cell phone dropped. Yes, I'm that old. You could bike anywhere. You could go to parks. Your parents would drop you off places for half a day, whole day, come back and get you later, hope you were still there and everything was all good. There was less of this anxiety about being in danger as a kid, being by yourself with your friends as a kid. In 2026, that is not the case. I'm barely comfortable letting my child sit in the front of the yard of my own house on my own property, let alone take a bus somewhere. Even though he's proficient, he knows culture, he's smart, I don't trust the world anymore. And neither do you. And so I say that because even if you look nice today in 2026 and you look like the most approachable guy, society has changed, guys. It takes so much more to be approached today than it ever has. And I'm not just talking about a compliment on a fragrance. People don't talk as much as they used to. In fact, when you finally get them to speak, they often imply things rather than be straightforward with you. We live in a society in America where things are more implied than clearly said. And the problem with that is when you can't clearly see the implications. And that's why we misread each other all the time, which is why we don't speak to each other, because the equation is something like this. Last time I spoke to a stranger, this happened. Last time I spoke at work, this happened. Last time I spoke to my spouse, this happened. And we put all these walls up and we become dormant, closed-minded people. And we open up to the people where we know it's safe and trustworthy. But because of that, it makes it even harder to approach strangers and build connections that are lifelong. And that's why the dating apps are so explosive right now. Because in dating apps, you can create who you are. You can act, you can role play, and sell something that you don't have. And it's much easier to have confidence when it doesn't come with the accountability of actually being face to face with somebody. So I say that to say this. The first thing when it comes to getting compliments with your fragrances is positioning yourself to get a compliment. Visually, that aspect is important. How you groom, how you dress, how you look. Do you have your eyebrows down like this? Or do you have them up? Do you know that if your eyebrows are up, you look much more approachable than when you're down like this? Do I look approachable like this? No, I look serious. I look uninterested in anybody's attention. But when I simply raise my eyebrows up, I look optimistic. I look happy. I look pleasant. I look safe. Little things like that, right? And this is stuff that we'll go into in the art of the compliment. But approachability is more than just visual. But that is important. Next, talk to people. Do you talk? Men, I'm talking to you especially. Do you initiate conversations with people? Do people know you for speaking to people? Approachability is building a reputation of being approachable and approaching people, and people seeing what those interactions look like. Oh, he talks to a lot of people. Oh, if I had the courage to talk to him one day, it would probably be pretty easy because he does this all the time and he's pleasant to talk to. I've seen it. Initiating conversation is huge. Do you have a habit of initiating conversations with the people around you, let alone strangers? That affects approachability. And go even deeper to that. What do those scenarios look like? Are you broadcasting to the world that you know how to carry a conversation, that you are approachable, that you do approach people, and that when you do approach people, it's pleasant, it invites more conversation? Part of the art of getting compliments is facilitating and positioning yourself to receive a compliment, but also asserting yourself to lure out the compliment. Compliment fishing. Not necessarily that you're focused on the compliment, but that you're opening up every act that is in front of getting the compliment. So to get a compliment, you have to be approached or approach somebody. You have to engage in conversation. And then that person has to feel comfortable enough, either in their own skin and or with you, to give you the compliment. And conversation often evokes that because you have to start conversation and they have to, these are invisible things that happen, guys. You initiate conversation with somebody and they don't even realize how comfortable they're getting, and they begin to think about things outside of just that particular topic of how was your day, or what are you doing today, or hey, my name is such and such, oh, look at the weather today, whatever. That evokes conversation, and the next likely thing to happen is in both of you recognizing things about each other. They recognize your fragrance, and if they like it, you've now teed up visually, audibly, and gesturally that you are in position to be complimented. This is huge, guys. When you put all of that together and you smell great, that's a powerful thing. Now, let me just say this. It is possible to have a fragrance that is so good that it can demand a compliment. And somebody can have an out-of-body experience where they just walk up to you and give you a compliment. Woohoo! But it's often hard to replicate, and it's often hard to analyze in the moment that actually took place. I don't think we really look into how the heck we get our compliments. Do you have a fragrance that gets a lot of compliments? In those moments that you are complimented, do you analyze what happened, what you were wearing? Were you the one who approached the other person and then the compliment came, or did the compliment just come to you out of nowhere? Did you engage in conversation before you got the compliment? Was this a place that you regularly go to, and is there a familiarity there that was the launch pad into the compliment? Or was it just completely random place, random time, random person? There's a lot of information we can gather to present ourselves and position ourselves to get more compliments. I'm going to, in the future, talk about fragrances that have given me compliments, but I'm more importantly going to do something that I don't think you guys have ever seen in FragCom. And that is that I'm going to talk about scenarios where I received a compliment and everything that led up to it, so that we can gather information that may or may not indicate to us tools and tips and tricks to be in position and to tee up a compliment, or at least increase your odds of receiving a compliment. I've had many times where somebody has gone up to me and they might not even be blown away by the fragrance, but they still give me a compliment. I've had everything from the, oh my gosh, what are you wearing? I have to know what it is. I have a pen. Give me the name of the fragrance, all the way down to just the plain old Jane of, oh, you smell nice today. I've even had people that didn't really care for the fragrance, but it wasn't off-putting or anything like that. So they mentioned the fragrance, something like, I can smell your fragrance. Or even, I've had a rare scenarios where someone said, you know what, I'm not a fan of that. And it's still almost like a compliment to me, because at least I facilitated that exchange to happen, and it gives me information to move forward. Maybe at the end of the day, it's, these people don't like this fragrance. But at least I was in position and self-aware of all of the things that can lead up to that moment, so that in the future, when I am wearing a good fragrance, or maybe I'm around a person who actually gravitates towards that particular fragrance, the compliment is hard to be avoided. It's going to come, and it's going to be received a lot more often. So it's about probability. I think there's a fine line we can walk in where we can not necessarily chase, demand, or overly desire the compliment, but at the same time, we can very intentionally position our social skills and our look and our visual presence and our fragrance in a position, we can put it in a position to have the highest probability of regularly getting, let's not say compliments, let's just say feedback on our fragrances. Have you guys thought about some of these things? That's one thing that I've been thinking through a lot as I've seen the whole compliment conversation, which feels very dry, is that we need more information. Because there is a way to get compliments and a way to get a lot of them, and it's good, and it goes far beyond the fragrance that you have. Now, on the counterpoint, when you do have an amazing fragrance and you do all of those things, if you already are receiving some level of compliments, you will get more often by listening to some of this information that I provide. So I'm going to attempt to do this conversation a little bit differently and talk about all the different scenarios that myself and other people in the community have gone through and positioned themselves in the scenarios that garnered a compliment, and let that give you some information to think through so that you can be in a position to do the same and to be complimented on your fragrance. There's nothing more exciting and heartwarming and confident building than getting a compliment with your fragrance. It's a total mood lifter, confidence booster, and it just does a lot for you to know that people notice the way you smell and that it complements the space and makes other people feel good. The energy of the individual and the vibe of the fragrance go together in such a way where it makes people feel just as good as you, and they're not even wearing the fragrance. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, turn on those notifications, because we are about to dive deep into the world of perfumery this year, and I'm only getting started. Hope you guys found this video to be useful. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, I always welcome it in the comment section below. And let's get a conversation started about it. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week, and until next time, peace.